This video does have a disclaimer. It is intended for educational, informative, and entertainment purposes only. Some of the content herein contains suggestive themes. It is never my intent to disrespect any individual spoken about or watching my videos. Viewer discretion is advised. Today, our case comes from Boone County, located in Florence, Kentucky. We will be discussing the case of Clay Shrout. Clay was born in 1977. He was an honor roll student, worked part-time at Rally's Hamburgers. He was the son to Walter and Becky Shrout and had two sisters, 12-year-old Lauren and 14-year-old Kristen. In 1994, Clay was a junior at Ryle High School. He had friends, and they were all becoming increasingly interested in death and gore. He and his friends would discuss how to murder someone. Clay had a collection of knives, brass knuckles, and dabbled in making pipe bombs. He was once reprimanded for bringing a stun gun to the Ryle campus. He was ordered 50 hours of community service. His parents had found out that Clay was smoking substances and drinking. He was grounded, and they took away his phone, the keys to his vehicle, and his weapon collection. Now, knowing Clay, his weapon collection is equivalent to our teenagers now with their video games. So taking this collection away got to him. On May the 25th of 94, he had had a conversation with his friend David Gardner. What's the best way to kill someone? And would a .22 penetrate a skull? David asks, why? Are you planning to kill someone? Clay, quote, no, but my parents are kind of just getting in the way, unquote. Before Clay went to bed on May the 25th, he had decided enough was enough. He was either going to do one of two things. He was going to take all the money he could find and run away, or he was going to kill his family. At 5 a.m. on May the 26th, 1994, Clay's alarm goes off. Clay wakes up, and his mind is made up. He retrieves a .380 firearm from his dad's car. By 5:20 a.m., he's walking into his parents' bedroom. He then aims the firearm at his mother, Becky, shoots her once, and it's a fatal shot. He turns the firearm to his dad and shoots. Next, he will head to his sister Kristen's bedroom. He shoots her once in the chest, and it's a fatal shot. He then starts to head to Lauren's bedroom. But he heard something from his parents' bedroom and turned around. Walking into his parents' bedroom Clay could see his dad was still alive and struggling to get out of the bed. Clay shoots twice more. He's dead. Now this awakens his sister Lauren. Clay sees Lauren in the hallway. He's able to calm her down, gets her to lay back down in her bed, and once she had her eyes closed, he shoots her in the head. By 5:45 a.m., just 45 minutes after Clay wakes up, his entire family would be dead. Around 6 a.m., Clay spoke with his best friend, Richard Brown. He told Richard what he had done and stated, quote, "I wish it was a dream. I wish I could wake up," end quote. Clay then leaves his house and drives around, not knowing his next move just yet. He stopped at a store across from Ryle High School. He was picking up a juice, and he mumbles to a complete stranger, quote, "You don't even know what I just did," end quote. Clay then goes to Danielle Bush's house. Now, Danielle was his prom date from a couple of weeks earlier. He knocks on the door, and when she opened, he grabbed her by the arm, showed her his weapon, and instructed her to walk to his vehicle. He drove them to Ryle, and they both walked in 5 to 10 minutes late for his 8:30 trigonometry class. Keep in mind, Danielle was not a student at Ryle High School. So as they walked into room 203, he instructed the teacher, Miss Kinabrowski, to lock the door. When she asks why, Clay said someone was going crazy taking hostages. Mrs. Kinabrowski says, "Who?" Clay then says, "Me."
The case in the 1990s when a teenager killed his immediate family and then took his classmates hostage. Yeah, and 9 on your sides, Tom McKee is here with the story of Clay Shrout. Tom.
Well, this headline from the Kentucky Post 21 years ago says it all. No one is going to make sense out of this. And how true that was when Clay Shrout killed 4 members of his family and then terrorized his classmates at Ryle High School.
He would then sit in her chair and had Danielle sit at a desk in front of him. He tells Mrs. Kinabrowski to continue teaching. There were 22 other students in that room. Now, they were all hostages. Just then, another student would knock on the door, needing Mrs. Kinabrowski to sign an absentee form. She was allowed to open the door and was able to mouth the words, "He has a gun." The student immediately runs to assistant principal Stephen Sorrell and lets him know what's going on. Mr. Sorrell calls the police. He then makes an announcement on the PA system. That announcement was, "Ted Whittekamp to report to the main office." Ted Whittekamp was the superintendent who was never at that location, so that announcement was set up as a lockdown situation. So apparently only the faculty and staff members were to know this, and that was the code. But several students did know, and Clay was one of those students. So then he says to Mrs. Kanabrowski, "They know I'm here." Mr. Sorrell at 8:48 knocks on the room of 203. He asked Clay to come out, but he said he wanted to remain inside. Now, Mr. Sorrell, being Clay's 10th grade algebra teacher, was able to strike a deal with Clay. He will come in and talk if he will allow the students to leave. And surprisingly, Clay agreed. Mr. Sorrell asked for the weapon, but Clay wouldn't give it up. Just then, police officer Pete Sherlow arrived to the classroom. Clay, seeing the officer reach for his own weapon, decided to hand his to Mr. Sorrell. And at 8:52 a.m., it was over. After Clay surrendered and was led from the building, Mrs. Kanabrowski told them about his claim that he had killed his family. Hoping that he was bluffing, someone quickly phoned the 8th grade classroom where Clay Shrout was supposed to be. The teacher said Kristen hadn't come to school that day. The police went to the family's house and found the 4 bodies, all with gunshot wounds. Over the course of the day, Principal Randy Cooper called all the students grade by grade to the auditorium to inform them what had happened. When Clay was asked why, he stated, "I resented them trying to make me out a special mold without asking me what I really wanted to be first." He shot his sisters because he didn't want them to live without their parents. He would plead guilty by reason of insanity to the murders of his parents and sisters. He was given life without the possibility of parole for 25 years.
26th, 1994. 17-year-old Clay Shrout wakes up early, shoots his parents and 2 sisters in their Union home, then heads to Ryle High School, where he holds a math class hostage before surrendering to an assistant principal. He's armed but doesn't fire any shots. Shrout's demeanor troubles veteran law enforcers.
Pretty much low-keyed, not upset, a rather unusual individual.
A jacket covers Shrout's head for his first court appearance. Friends are stunned at what he's accused of doing.
It's like another side nobody's ever seen. Yeah. It's like the evil side of Dr. It's like the back of his mind just came out.
Shrout is tried as an adult. He confesses to the crimes, saying he was angry at his parents for disciplining him. "I resented them trying to make me out a special mold without asking me what I really wanted to be first. Also, when they took away my weapons, that bothered me a lot," he wrote. Finally, the plea, guilty but mentally ill. The sentence, life in prison without parole for at least 25 years.
The remaining immediate family of Clay Shrout, including both sets of grandparents and his uncles, who are the most affected victims of this act, have asked us to seek an alternative which would not include the death penalty and would include long-term mental health.
His first years in prison were marked by a string of disciplinary problems. From 1995 to 2002, he racked up 29 pages of disciplinary actions. And a discovery was made of his plans to escape, and his possession of a steel bar prompted his move from a minimum security facility to a maximum security one. According to the Kentucky Department of Corrections, He's had no apparent problem since then. He still receives visits from his grandmother, Carolyn Johnson, who says, "Clay is still my grandson." In 2019, Clay was eligible for parole. This is allegedly, but I will tell you what he stated in his parole hearing. His actions stemmed from the sexual abuse he had endured by his mom during bath time, and Dad knew about it and did nothing.
Held classmates hostage for about 30 minutes after killing his mother, father, and sisters.
Well, the first thing he said to me was, "I've had a bad day today." So I said, "Oh, yeah?" And he said, "Yeah, I've killed my whole family."
Jeff Martin arrived at Ryle High School that morning right behind Pete Sherlow, who saw Assistant Principal Steve Sorrell snatch the gun from Shrout's hand. Gun drawn, Sherlow had barked, "Hand over that gun right now." Years later, he learned Sorrell never even knew Sherlow was there.
Mr. Sorrell was able to talk to him and able to get the kids out of the classroom. Amazing that the bravery that he showed trying to get the gun.
A Colt Mustang 380. Shrout is now 41, held at the Kentucky State Penitentiary. And a quarter century later, the motivation continues to haunt.
He had been found with a stun gun a couple of weeks prior to this at the school and was being disciplined for that. And he was upset about that.
His parents had taken his driving privileges away.
And the reason he said he killed his sisters is he didn't want them to grow up without parents. He was 17 at the time. He was an extremely intelligent kid. His IQ was 161. I think he felt somewhat inadequate. He wanted to compensate by his slight nerdiness by wearing black and carrying Death Stars and nunchucks and that kind of thing. And I think that probably is what led up to him doing what he did.
Retired Captain Jeff Martin, who spent a career locking people up as a church director of pastoral care, he's now in the business of redemption. He sees none for Clay Shrout, at least not while he's on earth.
Prayers for the Shrout family and friends. And I thank you for watching my video. I hope you will subscribe. And if you like the video, please hit the like button. And if you think it's share worthy, I would appreciate that as well. Hope you guys all have a great day, and I will see you on the next one.